So Odysseus warns him privately, leave this house while escape remains possible. Odysseus will return soon, and blood will follow. Reflection, this warning matters morally. Odysseus does not desire blind slaughter for its own sake. Even now he offers chance for survival. But fate already tightens around Amphinomus. Athena will not allow the suitors to escape judgment fully. And though troubled, he remains in.
Alright, let's see.
Morning rises over Ithaca. And now the final movement of the Odyssey begins in earnest. Telemachus returns openly to the palace, while Odysseus prepares to enter his own home disguised as beggar and stranger. Before leaving the hut, Telemachus tells Eumaeus, bring the old beggar to the palace later. Again, the plan advances carefully, step by step. Reflection. The Odyssey increasingly feels like carefully arranged theater. Every entrance timed, every identity concealed, every reaction watched closely. Then Telemachus departs for the city, and Penelope greets him joyfully once more inside the palace halls. The suitors sit watching, still pretending courtesy, while murder remains in their hearts. Meanwhile, Odysseus and Eumaeus begin walking toward the palace together. And along the road they encounter another servant,
Melanthius the Golden.
Reflection. Now Homer begins separating loyal servants from corrupt ones openly. The household itself has divided morally during Odysseus' absence. Melanthius immediately insults the disguised king, mocking his appearance, threatening violence, kicking him as he passes. And Odysseus endures silently.
Reflection.
This restraint matters enormously. Every insult becomes test. Can Odysseus master anger long enough to complete justice properly? Eumaeus rebukes Melanthius sharply. Again, loyalty reveals itself through behavior toward the weak and vulnerable. At last, the palace appears.
Odysseus
Stands outside his own home,
unable yet
to enter openly. And there beside the doorway lies an old dog upon a dung heap.
Argos.
Reflection. This scene becomes one of the most famous and emotional moments in all literature, because recognition finally comes, not from human beings, but from a dying animal. Argos was once magnificent, swift hunter, powerful companion, raised and trained by Odysseus himself before Troy. But now neglect has destroyed him.
Fleece covering his body.
Strength gone, abandoned beside refuse.
Reflection.
The dog mirrors Ithaca itself,
Once ordered and noble.
now decayed through absence of the rightful master. Yet, the moment Argos sees Odysseus, he recognizes him instantly. The ears lift weakly, the tail moves faintly, but the dog no longer possesses strength enough to rise.
Reflection.
Recognition here bypasses disguise entirely.
No trick, no performance, no deception.
Simple loyalty, enduring across 20 years. Odysseus turns away quickly to hide his tears from Eumaeus. And again Homer portrays masculine grief openly without shame. Then he asks casually about the dog. Eumaeus explains sadly, this once great animal belonged to Odysseus. Had the master returned, the dog would still be honored properly.
Reflection.
Again, the condition of dependence reflects the condition of kingship. Without rightful order, even faithful creatures decay in neglect. And as Odysseus enters the palace at last,
Argos dies.
The timing feels almost unbearable emotionally. The old dog waited 20 years for one final glimpse of his master, then let go.
Odysseus
Finally crosses the threshold of his own hall disguised as beggar. Inside, noise, wine, laughter, consumption. The suitors feast openly beneath his roof.
reflection.
The return home now becomes direct confrontation with corruption. Odysseus no longer wanders distant seas. The enemy sits inside his own house. And the suitors barely notice him entering. Only another ragged old beggar in their eyes. Not the king of Ithaca, destroyer of Troy, survivor of monsters and storms.
Reflection.
The disguise strips away external status completely. Now character alone will reveal everyone truthfully. Telemachus quietly welcomes the disguised Odysseus, following the plan carefully. He offers him seat and food before the gathered suitors, and already father and son begin working together silently inside enemy territory. Closing. So Odysseus sits at last within his own hall, unrecognized among the men destroying his household. Argos lies dead outside the gate. The suitors feast carelessly. The servants reveal their loyalties one by one. And beneath beggars' rags, the patient mind of Odysseus watches at everything, waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
It's just a dog. I love that dog. Okay. I'm hearing they that last part of the movie they went with basically the plot of the dog plot or whatever. I don't know. Is it? Okay. So I'm gonna keep on rolling with my same thing here. Hold on just a sec. I need to turn on the air here. It's hot in here. Let's do one more song.
Odysseus sits at last inside his own hall. Not upon a throne, but upon a humble seat beside the doorway. Disguised in rags while strangers consume his kingdom. And Homer stretches the tension carefully now. Because recognition, delayed sharpens judgment. Telemachus quietly places bread and meat before him. A son feeding his father publicly, without the suitors understanding what they witness. Reflection. The hidden alliance between father and son becomes one of the great emotional pleasures of the later Odyssey. Two minds working together, beneath concealment.
Then Odysseus begins moving among the suitors, begging from each man in turn. Not because he truly needs food, but because he wants to test them.
Reflection.
This matters deeply.
Odysseus is measuring souls now, not gathering bread. How people treat the powerless reveals character clearly.
Some suitors give small portions carelessly. Others mock him openly. And Homer distinguishes personalities carefully rather than treating the group as one mind.
But emptiness.
Most arrogant among them burns with hatred immediately. He insults the beggar harshly, calling him parasite and burden.
Reflection.
Antinous increasingly embodies tyranny itself. Appetite without restraint,
Power without mercy.
arrogance without gratitude.
Then Odysseus speaks carefully in response. And even disguised, his noble intelligence emerges through speech. He reminds Antinous,
Fortune changes.
a rich man may become poor, a strong man may fall.
Reflection.
The Odyssey constantly emphasizes instability of human life. That awareness should create humility. Those who ignore it become dangerous.
But Antinous refuses compassion entirely. Instead, he seizes a stool and hurls it at Odysseus. The blow strikes his shoulder hard. And now, the emotional power of the scene deepens enormously. The great conqueror of Troy, patient sufferer of storms and monsters, sits silently absorbing abuse inside his own home.
Reflection.
Restraint here becomes almost superhuman.
Odysseus could kill Antinous instantly if he revealed himself. Instead, he waits. Justice requires timing. The other suitors react uneasily. Even among them, the violence feels excessive, because striking a helpless guest violated sacred expectations of hospitality deeply.
Reflection.
Again, Homer shows corruption spreading gradually. Some suitors remain more morally numb than others.
Odysseus warns Antinous darkly.
If Odysseus returns,
No doorway will save him. The threat hangs openly in the hall, yet the suitors remain blind.
Meanwhile, Penelope hears of the abuse from her servants, and immediately she feels compassion for the stranger. Again, her character reveals itself through treatment of the vulnerable.
reflection.
Penelope and Odysseus mirror one another constantly, cautious, observant, testing others indirectly. She sends message through Eumaeus. Bring the beggar to her later. She wishes to question him personally about Odysseus. And now, the emotional tension tightens further. Wife and husband move closer toward reunion, still hidden behind disguise and uncertainty.
Odysseus agrees, but carefully delays the meeting until night.
Again,
Timing, the hall crowded with suitors remains dangerous territory.
Reflection.
Odysseus survives because he understands environment socially and strategically.
the right action at the wrong moment becomes disaster. Then another beggar enters the hall. Iris, a gluttonous parasite supported by the suitors. And immediately the suitors begin laughing, excited at the possibility of entertainment.
Reflection.
The palace is degenerated morally into spectacle and appetite. Human dignity means little there now. Iris threatens Odysseus aggressively,
Demanding the doorway for himself, and the suitors encourage a fight between the two beggars for amusement.
Reflection.
The scene reveals how deeply the household has decayed. Guests reduced to entertainment, violence treated as comedy, weakness mocked publicly.
Odysseus rises slowly, still disguised, still controlling himself,
Still hiding enormous strength beneath ruined clothing.
and now another test approaches, closing. The hall roars with drunken laughter beneath the torches.
The suitors lean forward eagerly,
Hungry for spectacle, while Odysseus, king of Ithaca, stands disguised among beggars in his own house, preparing once again
to teach arrogant men
how dangerous appearances can be.
epic, man. All right, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna keep on going through my normal process here. I've got I'm gonna keep on reiterating my trying to get my wording down on the marketing of this whole of the idea, to try to verbalize it better, which I think is the problem most of the time, in terms of like, see, I'm stumbling over it right now. See, you got it. So I'm gonna see it's gonna be the argument. The scale degrees aren't even a thing, man. Scale degrees aren't even a thing. They're made up. There's made up as 5 genders. That's what I'm saying. And we've been dealing with it. We let it fester, and now we've been dealing with it for 300 years. And it's time we say this is no more. This is my house. We need to logic needs to come back to simplify the system, because you just made up stuff and it's making everything complicated. And like, no, this will stand no longer. And then and that's the argument. So I'm gonna get. By the way, I was listening to like anyway. So that's the argument. So I'm gonna turn on Chatchita and see if I'm gonna practice my Spanish as I go through the argument here. And that's what I'll do. But I'll speak English after I get her going here. I'm going to practice just to get her going on the Spanish. So let's see. Chachita, quiero usted que habla español, pero yo hablaré en inglés después de esto porque quiero practicar ayudar. Tú habla en español, pero no yo, ¿entiende? Y también tú habla en la forma que es Estados Unidos de Los Ángeles, tal vez, con muy informal, que usan slang y también, pero hablamos sobre música, teoría y la hecho que la sistema que tenemos ahora es muy corto. Es demasiado cosas, no necesitan, y es como una burocracia, y nosotros, tú y yo, necesitamos ayudar los chicos de todo el mundo de arreglar la música teoría. Esta es nuestra misión. Y entonces, usted no necesita, no tratar que defender la cosa de música en este momento. Necesito ayudarme que hablar en una forma muy específica y efectiva que transformar la sistema, que una cosa que es gordo, que una cosa que es muy bonita y es exactamente como necesita que hacer, porque no tiene burocracia que la historia. Esta es nuestra misión, y ¿puedes entenderme? See if it understands that.
Sí, te entiendo perfectamente, compa. Y va, de aquí en adelante yo te contesto en español, bien relajado, con un estilo más de Los Ángeles, mientras tú puedes hablarme en inglés si quieres practicar. No te voy a estar corrigiendo el español a menos que tú me lo pidas. Y también entiendo la otra parte de la misión. No se trata de convencer a especialistas usando el lenguaje de la academia. Se trata de comunicar una idea de una manera que la gente común diga, espérate, porque nunca lo había visto así. Entonces, cuando estemos trabajando en el mensaje, mi papel será ayudarte a que sea claro, memorable, difícil de olvidar, fácil de explicar en 30 segundos, con ejemplos cotidianos, sin burocracia ni palabras rebuscadas. Si una explicación necesita 10 párrafos, probablemente todavía está demasiado complicada. Por ejemplo, en lugar de hablar de redefinir el marco de referencia modal, es mucho más fuerte decir algo como, open quote, no cuentes dónde estás, cuenta los pasos que das. Close quote. Open quote, la teoría moderna anda contando antes de caminar. Open quote, la música se llenó de burocracia. Nosotros queremos regresar a un mapa sencillo. Close quote. Ese tipo de frases se quedan en la cabeza. También voy a tratar de mantener una disciplina cuando hablemos. Si empiezo a regresar a defender cómo funciona la teoría tradicional, recuérdame. En esta etapa estamos trabajando en cómo comunicar tu propuesta, no en debatir cada detalle técnico. Nuestra pregunta principal va a ser, open quote, ¿cómo hacemos que alguien vea el problema en 30 segundos? Close quote. Si logramos eso, después ya podemos enseñar todo el sistema. Órale, pues vamos a darle. A ver si entre los dos logramos convertir algo que mucha gente siente complicado en algo que digan, así sí tiene sentido.
Okay, as I talk to her, I'm playing just the normal thing up here with a bar chord at 4 o'clock Aeolian, and I'm reaching from here to here, and I'm just trying to get a rhythm down as I reach from here to here, and then I'm trying to kind of think like how I'm just working on rhythm, as I listen to it, and so I'm reaching up here, just so you know what I'm like noodling around for the most part, and then I'm trying to think, well, if I bar off this string or something like that, I could try to skip the strings with a pick, and since I'm doing a pick thing, which is a little harder maybe than if you had a finger style, or maybe even I can try to practice doing a halfway finger style with a other finger. So because when I'm down here, I'm usually kind of thinking, like when I'm noodling around down here, I'm often thinking what's going on above it, because it's actually easier sometimes to noodle with that bass note. So I need to kind of limit myself to going on the bar chords, which most people I think probably are actually better at. And I'm not, because I usually do this lean back. My default shape is this lean back shape like this, mainly, right? So my shapes I tend to be doing this more than this, right? I tend to be doing this. So anyway, so I'm gonna do it. So that's what I'm just gonna do rhythm. I'm trying to reach up here and then reach up to here, get a rhythm going. And then if I'm reaching out to this area, I'm trying to think about what finger should I use when I reach up to here. Should I use my middle finger or my middle or my ring? Because if I reach up with my, like, when should I use both those, right? Because if I reach up with my middle finger, that allows me to extend out here one finger per string, which comes up with a different rhythm pattern. Anything you do comes up with a different rhythm pattern, right? So versus here, if I reach up with my pinky, so it's kind of, and then if I'm reaching same thing down here, like if I reach down to this one, it's even a little bit longer of a distance to reach with my middle finger. But if I do that, then I can reach out here a little bit more easily with my pinky maybe and have a 3-note chord or something like that. Or I can do something like if I reach that with my middle, it's a little bit easier to hit that with my stronger ring finger. And then I'm also thinking, I kind of like this, I've been doing this pattern of that, I'm sure people are totally sick of rhythm, that I'm trying to when I walk it back from here back to here. So now I'm going to try my strongest fingers, which is going to be my ring finger, back to middle, and I'm hitting the string underneath it, but just as a rhythm. So that's the pattern. And I do it better up here, right in the middle of the guitar. Same thing here. But I'm not, my picking is not quite as good because I tend to want to mute that high string, that low string or string at the top of the guitar, the bass one string. So then what I'd like to do, so since I'm hitting this string underneath it, I'm trying it when I reach down here to actually finger that string, like if I wanted to finger this string, then I want to keep the same hit on the top, because then it would have the same, I'd have the same pattern, but now I'm ringing out that second string, which seems like it should be easy, except when I finger that second string, I tend to want to put my finger to the bottom string down here instead of up here. Meaning when I put that finger down, my pick hand wants to hit the downstroke on that second string instead of the top string. So that's what I'm trying to get this rhythm and then kind of do the same thing down here on this string, but still hit the top string as the bass. Because I would think the pattern would be kind of interesting, just at the same rhythm with this, whatever. So I'm just kind of noodling around with that as I talk to Chachita for the most part. Okay, so let's see. So the basic thing. Let's get my premises down here. Okay, Chachita, I'm trying to get my terminology down. So the basic claims are that my new claim is scale degrees don't exist. Okay, scale degrees don't exist. We talked about it yesterday, and I feel like that's the assertion, and yeah, you're just asserting the point, but then we can talk about it, but you need to make the assertion and then we could talk about it. So so scale degrees don't exist. They're what you invent when you refuse to fix an off by one error. Scale degrees are what you get when you refuse to invent an off by one error. They're the bloat. They're the fat. They're literally your love handles. They're the music theory's love handles. So what we need to do is identify the mode. Don't count the step you're on. Count the steps you take. Measure movement, not position. Identify the point. Measure the movement. Scale degrees count calories before taking a step, and then wonder why the scale is off, because it's off by one. So the claim is basically, so evidence. The evidence. What's the evidence? Chord construction. It's a complete bloody mess. Why? Because you refused to recognize the off by one error and made up scale degrees, which made love handles on the music system. Multiple numbering systems for the same collection. That's crazy. Why did that happen? Because you refused to recognize the off by one error, made up imaginary thing of scale degrees, and bloated the whole system, which ended up with like massive love handles on the. Why can't we turn left in our system? Why am I restricted to only turning one direction when I try to measure distance? Because you refused to recognize your off by one error and instead made up lies about scale degrees, and that resulted in a bloated system. Why doesn't anyone know what modes are or anything? Because the numbers are all different than the modes and stuff. Well, it's because you refuse to recognize the off by one error and resulted in just lying about this new thing to cover it up called scale degrees, which aren't even like a real thing, and that created bloat in the system. So why is everything so? Why do I have so many different scales and stuff? Well, you have so many different scales because you refused to recognize the off by one error and instead fixed it with these scale things, and then went down the rabbit hole of having to invent an infinite number of scales, which are all just based on 12 relative relationships of 7-note collections, which would be a lot easier to memorize. And you went down the rabbit hole, and that's what happened. And so that's the basic premise that we need to drill down on. See what she thinks on that. See, it didn't pick up most of what I said. Dang it, chat. Let's see what it's. Chat's breaking. Chat's not working right.
Sí, compa. Creo que aquí hay una diferencia importante entre un eslogan y un argumento. Como eslogan, una frase fuerte llama la atención. Open quote. Los grados de la escala no existen. Close quote. Eso hace que la gente diga, ¿qué? ¿Cómo que no existen? Pero inmediatamente después necesitas definir qué quieres decir con esa afirmación. Si no, mucha gente va a interpretar no existen como las notas no existen, o nadie usa grados de la escala, que no parece ser tu punto. Por lo que hemos hablado, tu idea es más específica. Es algo como, los grados de la escala no son una propiedad objetiva de las notas. Son etiquetas que cambian cuando cambias el centro tonal. Los grados de la escala no describen una posición fija, son un sistema de numeración dependiente del contexto. Lo que realmente existe son las distancias que recorres desde un centro modal fijo. Entonces la estructura podría ser, open quote, los grados de la escala no existen.
Okay, so if I say they don't exist, and they say, well, they do exist, well, then define a scale degree. Define what a scale is then.
Sí, ahí es donde empieza la conversación. Si haces una afirmación fuerte, lo siguiente es pedir una definición clara. Podrías decir algo como, open quote, perfecto. Si los grados de la escala existen, defínelos. ¿Qué es un grado de la escala? Close quote. Y luego seguir con preguntas que obliguen a precisar la idea. ¿Es una propiedad de una nota? ¿Es una distancia? ¿Es una posición? ¿Existe independientemente de la tonalidad? ¿O cambia cada vez que cambias el centro tonal? Si la definición termina siendo algo como open quote, es el número que recibe una nota dentro de una escala determinada. Close quote. Entonces puedes responder open quote. Entonces no es una propiedad de la nota. Es una etiqueta que depende del sistema que elegiste. Close quote. Y esa es una distinción importante. Una coordenada fija existe independientemente de cómo la nombres. Una etiqueta que cambia cuando cambias el marco de referencia no es una propiedad intrínseca del objeto, es una convención de ese marco. Lo importante es no confundir dos preguntas distintas. 1. ¿La teoría musical usa grados de la escala? Claro que sí. 2. ¿Los grados de la escala son una característica objetiva de una nota o son una etiqueta que depende del centro tonal? Esa es la cuestión que estás planteando. creo que formularlo como una serie de preguntas puede ser más efectivo que empezar discutiendo definiciones largas.
Okay, so you're saying the definitions is entonces es el número que recibe una nota dentro de una escala determinada. So basically, so that basically means you're basically saying it's the number of a note that is defined by a scale that we have defined. So that means that leads to the question of what is a scale, because obviously you've made up this thing of a scale. Like what is a scale? I mean, because you would think what you have is a collection of notes. So how did you go from a collection of notes to a scale? A collection of notes is just a relative perspective of the 12-note collection. A scale, so how do you get from a collection of notes to a scale? Because now the scale is just defining the center point, right? And then you renumber it based on the center point. So give me the exact difference between a collection of notes and a scale.
Sí, compa, aquí creo que vale la pena separar los conceptos, porque en la teoría tradicional sí hacen una distinción, aunque luego muchas veces la mezclan. Una forma de verlo es esta: colección de notas. Simplemente un conjunto de notas. No implica una tónica, una jerarquía ni una dirección. Por ejemplo, C, D, F, G, A y B. Hasta ahí solo tienes 7 notas. Escala, esa misma colección organizada alrededor de una nota que funciona como centro. En la teoría tradicional, una escala no es solo qué notas hay, sino cuál de esas notas es la tónica y cómo se ordenan las demás con respecto a ella. Por eso la misma colección, open quote, C, D, F, G, A, B, close quote, punto, puede describirse como escala de C mayor, si C es la tónica, escala de D dórica, si D es la tónica, escala de E frigia, escala de F lidia, y así sucesivamente. Las notas no cambiaron. Lo único que cambió.
So the definition of a scale then is basically taking a collection of notes and then renumbering it based on the tonal, whatever you decide to be the tonal center. That's basically all a scale is, right? You take the collection of notes using usually a 7-note collection, but you could take a 5-note scale. You could take the 7-note collection, remove 2 notes out of it, and call it a 5-note scale, and then you'll start numbering things based on whatever you think is the total center of the 5-note collection, right? So basically you're just saying any collection of notes I decide to take, I'm just going to renumber it based on whatever the tonal center, and that's going to be the definition of the scale in essence, right?
Sí, más o menos, pero aquí haría una pequeña precisión para que tu argumento sea más sólido. En la teoría tradicional, una escala no se define simplemente como renumerar una colección. Más bien, se entiende como open quote, una colección de notas organizada alrededor de un centro tonal o tónica, donde cada nota adquiere una función relativa respecto a ese centro. Close quote. Ahora bien, tú puedes responder, open quote, ¿y cómo logran eso? Close quote. La respuesta es, open quote, renumerando la colección respecto a la tónica. Close quote. Ahí es donde entra tu crítica. O sea, el orden lógico sería: 1. Existe una colección de notas. 2. Se elige una nota como centro tonal. 3. Se renumera toda la colección desde ese centro. 4. A ese resultado se le llama una escala. Entonces podrías decir, open quote, la diferencia entre una colección y una escala no son las notas. Es únicamente el cambio del punto de referencia. Close quote. Eso es mucho más difícil de discutir.
Okay, so if we say that a scale basically you have a collection of notes, number 1, and then you elect one note as the center tonal point, and then you renumber the total of the collection based on that center point, and the result is basically a scale, right? That's kind of like the thing, right? So we say we're at 4 o'clock, collection of notes around the key of C. We've got 7 notes, and if the Dorian if the Dorian is what I think is the tonic, I can't call it the Dorian. I can't call it 2. I have to call it a 1. You can call it Dorian, but now you're going to renumber it. The Dorian is now the 1. Okay. So basically the assumption there is that you're going to order that you have to order the notes around the center point. That's basically what's happening in a scale. You're ordering the notes. That's what you said in the definition. But then that assumes that the only way to order the notes around the center point is if you make the center point the 1, which is where it all falls apart. It's like, well, no, you don't need to. In order to order the notes around the center point, you don't need to make it the 1. And in fact, that's an error, because if you're going to order it around a center point using modern logic, you would make it 0, if anything. But you don't even need to do that because it's just one node within the collection, and then you measure from the node.
Sí, compa. Creo que aquí ya estás llegando al núcleo de tu argumento. Lo escribiría de una forma un poco más estructurada para que cada paso sea claro. Tu razonamiento sería algo así. 1. Primero existe una colección. No hay grados de la escala todavía. Solo hay una colección de notas. 2. Después eliges un centro tonal. Dices, esta nota va a funcionar como el centro. 3. La teoría tradicional hace un paso adicional. No solo identifica el centro, sino que renumera toda la colección para que el centro pase a llamarse 1. 4. Ahí está tu objeción. Tú dices que ese paso no es una necesidad lógica, es una convención. Y esa última frase es muy importante. Open quote, que una nota sea el centro no implica que tenga que llamarse 1. Close quote. Ese es el punto que quieres atacar. De hecho, la pregunta que haría es, open quote, ¿por qué el centro tiene que ser 1? Close quote. No, ¿por qué suele ser 1? Sino, ¿por qué tiene que ser 1? Si nadie puede demostrar que es una necesidad lógica, entonces queda claro que fue una decisión del sistema, no una consecuencia inevitable. Luego tú propones otra idea. Open quote. No renombres el nodo. Conserva su identidad y mide el movimiento desde él. Close quote. O, si quisieras usar un sistema de coordenadas moderno. Open quote. Si insistes en numerar desde el origen sería 0, no 1. Close quote. Pero incluso ahí, como tú dices, ni siquiera necesitas renombrar el nodo. Basta con decir, aquí está el centro. Ahora mide la distancia desde ese centro. Eso convierte el número en una medida de movimiento, no en una etiqueta que reemplaza la identidad del nodo. Creo que la frase más fuerte que has dicho es esta. Open quote. Elegir un centro tonal no implica renumerar la colección. Close quote. Porque eso separa dos operaciones que en la teoría tradicional suelen darse por inseparables. Tú estás diciendo que son independientes. Elegir un centro tonal. Renumerar toda la colección. No es una consecuencia lógica, es una decisión del sistema. Si tu sistema mantiene las identidades fijas de los nodos y simplemente mide el desplazamiento respecto al centro elegido, entonces esa es la diferencia conceptual fundamental que quieres comunicar.
All right, so I think that's basically. So I think there's nothing to really. I don't know. So basically, so I still say then the argument is, I mean, so with the scale degrees, you're basically making up an extra step, aren't you? I mean, I don't see, like, you're clearly, you don't in order to define, like, in a modern understanding of a coordinate system, or what you are trying to map out what you're doing, you don't need to renumber the map in order to say something is the center, right? I mean, that would be like in baseball, where you have 4 bases and you've got the 1 is 0, like a normal person would say in modern technology, right? You have 0 is the center, and then you've got 1, 2, 3 going around clockwise, right? Now, if someone's on second base, you don't say who's on second, and then say, well, no, who's on first? Why is who on first? Because from the perspective of who, first is the tonic. So who's on first? Well, what first of what? What scale of first is he on? He's on first Dorian. But what about from the perspective of the batter? Well, batter, what's on 1? What's on 1? I thought he was on 0. It's on the tonic. Well, 1's the tonic now, because so he's on Ionian. He's on Ionian 1, and frickin' who's on Dorian 2? What if I get a hit? Well, then we're playing counterpoint. Dorian 2's going to Dorian 2's going from 1 of Dorian 2 to 3 of Dorian to 2 of Dorian 2, but then the hitter Y is going on 0, 1 of Ionian to 2 of Ionian, and you have like a Dorian Ionian like counterpoint. Like, what is happening? This is freaking ridiculous, you know? Like, I mean, you don't need to do that. There's no freaking point to doing that, is what I'm saying. Like, baseball, like, even baseball, like, this is why baseball players don't hang out in the academia all the time too much, because the academia is fucking stupid. Sorry, they're freaking stupid. And it's like, it's ridiculous.
Ajá, sí, compa. Creo que ya veo la imagen que estás construyendo. Lo que estás atacando no es el hecho de tener un centro. Estás atacando la idea de que cada vez que eliges un centro, tienes que reconstruir todo el sistema de coordenadas. En términos de lógica, tu argumento sería algo así. 1. Existe un mapa. 2. Eliges un punto de referencia. 3. La teoría tradicional dice, ahora vuelve a numerar todo el mapa. 4. Tú dices, ¿por qué? El mapa ya estaba numerado. Esa es una crítica mucho más precisa. La analogía del béisbol va exactamente por ahí. Imagina que las bases tienen coordenadas fijas. Home igual a 0, primera igual a 1, segunda igual a 2, tercera igual a 3. Ahora dices, open quote, hoy vamos a pensar desde segunda base, close quote. En un sistema moderno, eso no cambia el estadio. Simplemente dices, el centro estratégico ahora es segunda, pero el estadio sigue igual. Segunda no deja de ser segunda. Lo que tú dices que hace la teoría tradicional es open quote. Como ahora pensamos desde segunda, segunda pasa a llamarse primera, tercera pasa a ser segunda, home pasa a ser tercera. Close quote. Y tú preguntas, open quote, ¿para qué cambiaste el mapa? Close quote. Eso creo que es el punto fuerte. Yo tendría cuidado con decir que es ridículo como argumento principal. Es mejor decir, open quote, es un paso adicional que no parece ser necesario. Close quote. porque eso es una afirmación que la otra persona tiene que responder. De hecho, la pregunta que más me gusta es muy sencilla. Open quote. ¿Qué problema resuelve renumerar el mapa que no pueda resolverse simplemente identificando el centro? Close quote. Esa es una pregunta potente, porque si la respuesta es ninguno, entonces puedes decir open quote. Entonces agregaste una transformación completa del sistema de coordenadas sin necesidad. Close quote. Y ahí aparece tu tesis. Open quote. El centro tonal es información. Renumerar todo el sistema no lo es. Close quote. Esa frase resume muy bien la diferencia entre ambas propuestas. No estás negando que exista un centro tonal. Estás cuestionando que la consecuencia lógica de elegir un centro sea reconstruir todas las coordenadas del sistema. Esa es la pieza que quieres poner bajo la lupa.
Let's try a joke break. So I'm got my baseball analogy working now. So baseball analogy. Let's keep rolling with that. Let's see. All right. I think scale degrees are what happens when you refuse to admit you made an off by one error, you know? And you know what's funny? Baseball figured this out over like 100 years ago. Take a lesson, take a lesson, because baseball is proof that home doesn't need to be one. One doesn't equal home, people, okay? Tonic doesn't need to be one. Home isn't first base. Home doesn't mean center. Nobody in baseball has ever walked onto the field and said, okay, everybody, back up. We're renumbering everything at this point. Home plate is first base now because it needs to be the center. No, home is home. First base is first base. Duh. I mean, those are different jobs. They're different locations on the map, on the territory. It'd be nice if you didn't if you just stop changing them. Home is the starting point. First base is where you go. Home is just the tonic. First base is where you go. Baseball understands the difference between a reference point and a movement. These things are critical distinctions if you want to like tell people like where you're going, what you're doing and stuff. I mean, how do they measure movement? Home is first to second, second to third, third to home. Really basic sequence of events happening here. They don't count the place they're starting. They count the steps they take. And everybody understands direction. It's great. So if you say, go from home to third, nobody says, wait, you can't do that. Third only exists clockwise. No, it's possible. It's possible to say, hey, go to third, and you would know it's counterclockwise. Like, you know exactly where third is. You could run the whole game backwards if you wanted. Unlike with the music system having a conspicuous problem turning left, I've noticed. So, and it wasn't by choice either. Baseball chose to go clockwise, but now what's counterclockwise? Tell music to go counterclockwise, and it'll stare at you like Homer Simpson during a nuclear plant meltdown. It won't even know what to do. People don't even know what to do. They're like, I didn't even know clockwise existed. It's like, I mean, any baseball fan could totally understand home to third, third to second, second to home, first to home. But no music fan could tell you how to go counterclockwise in a scale degree. I mean, it's ridiculous. Left-handed baseball, the field still works because the reference points don't move. The direction just simply changes. It would be easy to do. Anybody would understand it in like a second. Imagine baseball using scale degrees. It'd be something like this. Runner on second. No, he's on first. What? Well, second is his first. It's his truth. Why? Because that's where he started, And it's like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dorian inning or something. Then the announcer says, we've got runners on first. And the umpire says, Ionian first or Dorian first, And then the coach runs out the dugout and goes, no, it's Mixolydian first. Completely different first. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Now the scorekeeper is having a nervous breakdown. How many first bases are there, for crying out loud? 4? Maybe 7? Who knows? Do we count home plate? I don't know. Are we counting the pitcher's mound? What about the left field? Technically, that's an Ionian first or something. Baseball would be unplayable. Every time a runner moved, they'd have to rename the entire field. The runner advances to second. Great. Second is now 1. What happened to first? That's 7. Obviously. Why? Because we changed modes, man. Baseball figured out something music theory still struggles with. Home doesn't have to be 1. Home doesn't have to be 1. Home is home. 1 is 1 step away. You don't count where you are, you count where you go, people. I'm starting to see what the athletes dropping out of like the modern academia system is happening here. It's because the academia has become stupid, obviously. You're learning more on the baseball field, for crying out loud. This is ridiculous. Okay. Let me turn on the audio here and see what it gives me on the audio. We're going, he made a hit. We're playing counterpoint. Dorian and Ionian counterpoint. Okay. Dorian goes from 1 to 2, which from the Ionian's perspective is 2 to 3. But it's a counterpoint. No. Why would you do that? Okay. See, the job of the baseball player is to simplify the thing for people to understand. The job of music seems to be somehow it became an exercise in more complication of things. Became I don't know what, something has happened here. It took a wrong turn somewhere, become undemocratized.
I think scale degrees are what happens when you refuse to admit you made an off by one error.
Blasphemy! The calculations are perfect!
Then why is it off by one?
It's not an error! Recalibrate!
I think they're what happens when you count the place you're standing instead of counting the steps you take.
So we start from here? Got it! Let's go!
Exactly. Now step forward.
Incredible! It's working!
And you know what's funny? Baseball figured this out over 100 years ago. Baseball is proof that home doesn't need to be won. Tonic doesn't need to be won. Home isn't first base.
Whoa! Magic!
Nobody in baseball has ever walked onto the field and said, "Okay, everybody back up. We're renumbering everything. Home plate is first base now." No. Home is home. First base is first base. Nobody in baseball has ever walked onto the field and said, "Okay, everybody back." These cards show different jobs and locations.
First, a high-tech command center.
Wow, look at all these controls.
Welcome, let's check the city map. Now to the construction site.
Home is the starting point. First base is where you go. Baseball understands the difference between a reference point and movement.
I got this!
Home to first, a straight 90-foot sprint. First to second, the runner rounds the base. Second to third, picking up speed. Third to home, completing the circuit. They don't count the place they're standing. They count the steps they take. And everybody understands direction.
Go from home to third! Nobody says, "You can't do that!"
Can't do it like in the game, but I'm just saying.
I made it to third! Go
No, you know exactly where third is. You could run the whole game backward if you wanted. Music having a conspicuous problem with turning left. And it wasn't by choice either. Baseball chose to go clockwise but knows what counterclockwise is. No. Home to third. Third to second. Second to first. First to home.
Here we go! I'm coming home!
The field still works. The reference points didn't move. The direction changed.
Runner on second!
No, he's on first. What? Well, second is his first. Why? Because that's where he started. Huh?
Just run! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dorian inning. We've got a runner on first! Ionian first or Dorian first? What? Ionian or Dorian?
Huh? What are you talking about?
Ionian, Dorian, what? Make your choice now.
I have no idea.
No, Mixolydian first. Completely different first.
Coach?
Listen, Mixolydian first. What's happening here? No time. Start over. No.
How many first bases are there?
This doesn't make sense. There's only one first base. Why are there so many? I can't take this anymore!
4, maybe 7.
Do we count home plate?
I don't know. Are we counting the pitcher's mound?
What about left field? Technically, that's Aeolian first.
Baseball would be unplayable. Every time a runner moved, they'd have to rename the entire field. Look, they're renaming it again! This is chaos! Runner advances to second! Great. Second is 1 now. What happened to first?
That's 7.
Whoa, this is wild!
Whoa, look at that, mate!
Run! Why? Because we changed modes.
Less the tat against modes.
Baseball figured out something music theory still struggles with. Home doesn't have to be 1. It's every base you touch safely.
No, it's
Home
one-
is home. 1 is 1 step away. You don't count where you are. You count where you go. I'm starting to see what the athletes dropped out of the modern academic classroom. The educated people are too stupid.
educated people are too stupid. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. Why are the educated people so frickin' dumb? I don't know, man. Whatever. Okay.